Right. Good morning. So we're up to Reish Mem Vov Sif Gimel. So we're talking about lending and renting items to a non-Jewish person, and we said previously, that yesterday that there's no shvisas kelim. There's no din shvisas kelim, and therefore you're allowed to lend or to rent things to a non-Jewish person, because if your lawnmower is working on Shabbos, that's not a problem, because there's no concept of shvisas kelim. Your vessels do not have to rest on Shabbos. In contrast, Sif Gimel, also lahaske lahashel behemto leini Yehudi, you're not allowed to rent out or lend your animal, your ox, your whatever it is, to an Ein Yehudi, kadei sheyaseh bo melacha b'Shabbos. Why? She'odem mitzuva al shvisas behemto, because a Jewish person, is also mitzuva on shvisas behemto. So let's just do the Mishnah Berurah till there. Sif Kotan Yud. Also lahaske afilu b'yom rishon, afilu b'havla. You can't rent out your animal to a non-Jewish person, even on Sunday, and even if you do it b'havla, it's not allowed, because shvisas behemto is a problem. Kadei sheyaseh, Sif Kotan Yud Aleph, tzorech lo meshem yaseh, because he might do work, because the non-Jewish person might go and work, plow his field with your ox. So that's from the Gra. V'chein muchach b'shulchan aruch gufo. Yeah.
A car is not is a keli or a behemoth.
A keli. But we'll see. But let's look at the next one. Al shvisas behemtoi. Why? Because it says l'man yonuach sharcha v'chamercha. I mean, so it's your animals. Very specific. Your animals have got to rest on Shabbos. V'afal gav to hiskir habehem lein Yehudi. It's not yours. You've rented it out. I can't tell him what to do now. It's not yours anymore. You've rented it out to him. He's paid you rent. So what's the problem? Because we conclude that schirus, the rental, is not a proper transaction. And therefore, legally, if you like, halachically, this animal still belongs to me. It still belongs to the Yisrael. And therefore I'm mitzuva on shvisas behemtei, and therefore I can't rent it out to him. In Lechumra, we say that schirus does work. Therefore, if a Yisrael rents a behemoth from the Ein Yehudi, then I can't work this animal on Shabbos. I can't let it do work on Shabbos, because we're choishish that schirus is kanya. V'nochen lahachmir, and therefore it's good to be machmir, given to who is a deraisa. Shvisas behemto is a question of a deraisa, and therefore we should be machmir. Now, interestingly, if I rented an animal from a non-Jew, and then I go and sublet it to another non-Jew, then either way it's okay. Because if schira kanya, then the guy who sublet it's his. If schira eina kanya, then it still belongs to the original fellow. So mimanov shach is going to be okay. Okay, continues the Mishnah Berurah. If I buy an animal from a non-Jewish person, or I sell it to him, but meshicha lechud, or bekesef lechud, with one of those kinyonim, either with kesef or with meshicha, Havesfeika the dinner. It's not clear if that is an effective kinyan. And therefore, we are choishish, because it's a deraisa, that maybe this is still your animal and it wasn't an effective transaction, and therefore the animal should not be doing work on Shabbos. Okay, let's go to the Ramon now. So again, just to give you background, so if we just said that on Sif Aleph we said you're allowed to lend or to rent out lahashel lahaske your kelim to an Ein Yehudi, because there's no shvisas kelim, but not your animal. That's what the Mechaber is saying over here. Also lahaske lahashel behemto Ein Yehudi, kadesh yaseh b'olachem, because maybe he'll do work on Shabbos, because Adam is mitzuva al shvisas behemto. Says the Ramah, Hagar, avol yochel lahaskir lahashil lahasnis sheachzirel lekodim Shabbos. You're allowed to rent it or lend it to him, and you stipulate that he gives it back to you on Friday or before Shabbos. Avol lo mahani. That works. You can't say, look, I'll lend it to you or I'll rent it to you, but you can't. You've got to promise me that it's not going to work on Shabbos. Why? Because he's not believed on that. Explains the Mishnah Berurah, Sif Kotan Yud Gimel. The non-Jewish person is not believed on that. And he's not scared not to do malacha. because he's borrowed it from you or he's rented it from you. Because it's legitimately in his reshus, and therefore he's not doing anything sort of untoward. But if he gives it back to you before Shabbos, then it's finished. And the reason why he's not believed is because this is not he doesn't understand the importance of an Issa Deraisa of Leman Yonuach, and therefore he hasn't understand the Chomer Adov, and therefore he's not going to be believed. Okay, let's carry on the Mechaber. V'im hishila or hiskir le'en Yehudi. If a person went ahead and he lent it or he rented it out to an Ein Yehudi, and he agreed, he stipulated that this non-Jewish person has got to return it before Shabbos, and lo and behold, the non-Jewish person did not return it on Shabbos, then what should the Jewish person do? The Jewish owner of this animal should yafkirena beino levein atzmo kodim haShabbos. He should be mafkir it before Shabbos. Being mafkir on Shabbos is a bit of a problem. He should do it before Shabbos. Or he should say, behemti knuya le'en Yehudi kadei she'inotza misur deraisa. He should transfer the ownership to the Ein Yehudi that in order to spare himself from a potential Issa Deraisa. Let's just do the Mishnah Berurah on that. Sif Kotan Yudalid Yafkirena. V'zeu dafka b'di'evet. This is false b'di'evet shekvar hisnimo v'ikva b'Shabbos. That this non-Jewish person, he was meant to return it before Shabbos and he didn't. You can't rent it to him with the proviso, with the intention that come Shabbos you'll be mafkir it. Even if you were mafkir it in front of 3 people, not everyone knows about it. People, it's like a Maras Ayin problem. They know it's my share that's working for my non-Jewish neighbors, in his field. And even if I were to sell it to him, it's not a heter. Unless I do a proper sale for the entire week. And not that I just sell it to him for Shabbos. Like we said. The Bach, however, says that you're allowed to rent it to the guy with the intention that you will then be mafkir in front of 3 people. Why? Because the whole concern is chashad. For given the shloisha yodim, but if you mafkir it in front of 3 people and 3 people therefore know about it, there's no problem of chashad anymore because 3 people is it's public knowledge now. And you can be soimech on that, says the Mishnah Berurah b'shas hatchak. Okay, continuing the Mishnah Berurah test Vov. Because I've been mafkir it, and therefore it's not my problem. You need to be mafkir it in front of 3 people. So how can it work? Yeah, zeu drabonon. The requirement to be mafkir it in front of 3 people is only midrabonon. That's a very interesting concept. Why is that, by the way? Why is it the midrabonon? Minat Torah, you can be mafkir something and say, this is not mine, I'm mafkir it. Midrabonon is to be in front of 3 people. So if you look at 16, he says a very interesting reason. One of them can be koiner it, and the other 2, they can be made. And therefore, interestingly, at least 2 of the people have got to be roy lahed. It comes out. Now, all of that is midrabanan. Back to the Mishnah Berurah. Av midaraisa, afilu beinu v'nas misagi. Min Torah, it's actually sufficient to be mafkir it just privately, just between you and yourself. And here, it's a very b'diavad situation. You rented it out, and you stipulated that he should return it before Shabbos. Ve'ikva, and he held on to it. He didn't return it. Dai bezeh kadeli not be sur deraisa. It's sufficient that we allow him to mafkir it between himself, without not in front of 3 people, to save himself from this issa deraisa of shvisas behemtei. For I'm bebeis Yosef sheyesh poiskim shesayvrin to gam bekan Af shehu dieved, but in a dafka klasa. Even the dieved, you need 3 people. Therefore, you should try and be choshesh for this if you can. At least try and be mafkir in front of one person. The Rabbi Migdolei HaPoskim Sovrim the after Raisa in a hefka ad sheyafkirena al kol ponim b'fnei echad. You've got to at least do it in front of one person. Even if one of the member of your household would suffice for this. So what do you say? So again, we're talking about a situation where you rented it out and you agreed to return it to you on Friday, and he didn't. So you should be mafkarit, and or you either be mafkarit, or you say to yourself, "Behemti knuya le'en Yehudi." I'm being makner to this ein Yehudi. Says the Mishnah Berurah Tezayin, "I'm b'magen Avram shedaitoi the dafke im oimelo befonov." You've got to actually say this to the guy, to the ein Yehudi. Behemti knuya lecha. My animal is yours. She'oz mischavna ein Yehudi likneisa, and therefore he has the kavanah to be koineret. For he niknes le b'mirazu, and he can be koineret with this statement. Given shehi b'reshusay, because ultimately the animal right now is in the reshus of the ein Yehudi. For konya lo chatzera, and his chotz has been koineret. Avalim omer kain shelo b'fonav. But if you just say it, sitting in your own dining room at home, lo kono ein Yehudi klal. He's not been koineret. Va'afilim zikle al yidei Yisrael acher. Gam kein lo mahani k'mavur b'choshen mishpat siman reish mem gimel sif yudalet. Okay. V'chein hiskim ha-prima godim ha-shachreinim k'mogen Avram u'poshut da'afilu ba'im behemti k'nu lecha. Even when you say that, ba'in and shei ze gam kein psik hastomim, you got to have some sort of a price, fixed price for it, how much you're selling it for. Di'lav hochi ein ze mechir klal, because otherwise it's just words. You've got to, there's got to be some substance to it. You've got to agree a price if you're selling it to him. V'chein kos v'chayodim b'chlal nun ches. And we allow this kadeshi not sell from saving him from an issa deraisa of shvisas behemtoi. Says Mishnah Berurah Yudzayin rotzolema avalachatchila ein lismech lahaske al da sheyafkir k'sheyagiyem Shabbos. Like we said before, that you shouldn't sell it to him with the intention that you'll be mafkir it come Shabbos or sheyakneu leoz aleinudi, or you're makneh to him. Shahefka v'akneu ein mefursamim, because hefka and kinyan it's not mefursim. V'yesh kan chashash marasayin. And then there's a chashash of marasayin like we discussed. Okay, now let's go back to the Ramah. So we're in the middle of the Sif v'imroitza. Says the Ramah, v'imroitza yochel lahafkir lifnei shleisha b'nei adam kedin shahefka. Alternatively, you can just be mafkir in front of 3 people. Va'afilu hachi ein shum adam yochel liskes ba. But even though you're mafkir it, you can't get some wise guy coming along and being koinerit. Because the only reason why I was mafkarit is that I'm not going to be responsible for shvisas behemdi on Shabbos. And not that that someone can actually come along and take it. Now, interestingly, the dafka b'Shabbos. This works on Shabbos. Avol b'yontov ein adam mitzuva shvisas behemdi b'yontov. We're not mitzvah on shvisas behemtei, and therefore you don't have to worry about any of this. Okay, let's do the Mishnah Berurah. Yutches, the vada in kavnosa, rotzolema. Shevada lo hi b'daita shesho hefka lo'olam. You didn't intend to make this animal hefka forever. Ki im liyamashal savad. I'm just doing it k'dei la'afki me'olav is a Shabbos, that I haven't got a problem of shvisas behemtei on Shabbos. Well, achar Shabbos yachsad reshus, it will come back to my reshus. Avol b'yom haShabbos gufa b'vada hu hefka gomur. V'gam zeh mikra b'shem hefka v'chidis b'gemar dafilu hefka liyam echad have hefka. V'ein tzorech lochu shem yizke bo achar Shabbos gufa shebevada ein Yehudi lo yanichene kol zman she'tachas yodin l'melachtoi. Okay. Ein odem mitzvah. Now this is very interesting. We said there's no concept, says the Ramah. Yeah, surely, yeah.
Hefka is always in front of 3 people?
So that's only midrabanon. So Minat Torah, the Mishnah was explaining, the Minat Torah hefka works even less than that. But Chazal said midrabanon, you should do hefka in front of 3 people. That one of them, that's what the Shulchan Aruch says, that one of them in Choshen Mishpat Reish Ayin Gimel, that one of them can be mezakeh, it can be zeicherit, and the other 2 can be made on it. But that's midrabanon. But hefka even in front of 1 person would be enough, or even beinov v'natzon it seems. Okay, Yutes ein odem mitzuva. So the Ramah says that shvisas behemtei is in Shabbos, not Yontov. Says the shvisas behemtei, says the Mishnah Berurah Yutes, the shvisas behemtei yalfinan mimatzich siv leman yonuach shorcha v'chamerecha kamoicha v'hai krop Shabbos kiv. Now the context of the pasuk is talking about Shabbos. V'afilu hachi lo yaskrim ele b'havla. And still, when you rent it out to a guy on Yontov, do it with havla. right? It's not just specifically for the Yontif days itself. So you haven't got Schar Yontif problems. Now, v'hinei hamarshal chelek al zeh. The Marshal argues with this. V'daitib de b'Yontif v'Shabbos shari shovin sorry. The Shabbos Yontif are the same. And therefore there is Shvisas Behemdoi on Yontif according to the Marshal. I'm Mogen Avram Sheherich Bezeh, or maybe Abbas Yosef Simon Tov Tzati Hey, Hevi Des Harishanim Bezeh, or Mesadid Shom Le'issa, that we're Machmir, and we are Cheshish, there is Shvisas Behemdoi on Yontif. Val Kein Yesh Lahachmir. Or Bi HaGra Gam Kein Herich Bezeh, or Masik Do Ik Gedas HaMarshal, Now that there is Shvisas Behemdoi on Yontif, v'gam lekam b'simen tov tzadi hey sif gimel mefarish hagra ma shekosu sham b'shulchan aruch de'in metziin masa behema b'yontav hatam mishum shvisas behemdoi. Now, interestingly, take a look at 19, footnote 19. V'af shela odom atzma mutar lahitzi b'yontav k'shiyesh b'kach tzeres ksas. Now, you might ask, hang on a second, I can shech this animal. I can shech this animal and I can have it for lunch. So I can't get it to do any work. What about the concept of mitoich? Yeah, mitoich, the famous concept. The Gemara says in Beitza that Beis Shammai say you can't take an animal, you can't take a lulav and a cot and a sefer Torah out into the Rosh Hashanah. Beis Hillel say you can. The Torah only allows eating, cooking on Yontov. What about Hitzah? It's not cooking. So the Gemara famously says Mitoich shehutra l'tzairech, i.e. for Eichel Nefesh, hutra shelo l'tzairech. Right? Machalik is exactly which malach it refers to, but certainly refers to Hitzah. That's one of them. So the Gemara says, so he says here in footnote 19, so why can't you use it? So why can't you work the animal? Because of mitoich. So the Shatzian quotes the Gan, the concept of mitoich is only with human beings. Very interesting. Okay, whatever. So it's a great quiz question. When is it your animal has more machmir than you? Teretz is where you can say mitoich for yourself, which allows you to carry on Yontif, etc., but it doesn't permit Shvisas Behemdoi on Yontif. Let's just do Dalit. It's a very short one, and that will enable us to finish the Simon tomorrow, Mr. And this is related to this. Dalit says the Mechaber, Yisrael shehiskish shvarim le'in Yehudi lachrish bohem v'chorish bohem. A Yisrael who he's got lots of animals, and he rents out some animals to an Ein Yehudi to be chorish with them. Yesh matirim kibla lo ein Yehudi achrayas misa ugzeilo gneva v'yikra v'zula. Which means, if you have an animal and you want to rent it out to a non-Jewish person, and so long as he is makabel achrayas, that if the animal dies, he's going to pay you back. If it's stolen, he's going to pay you back, or whatever, or yukra v'zula, which means price fluctuations, then that is allowed. Since he hasn't got full rights, because he can't sell it, Nikras Behemas Yisrael, and therefore there will be Shvisas Behemdoi. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Im Kibel Achrayis, Im Kibel Lov. Because if he's Makabel, according to the first opinion in the Mechaber, that if the guy who rents it out is Makabel, all Achrayis, Misa, Gzela, and Yukra Vazula, then to all extent and purpose it's his, and therefore it's a behemoth shel en Yehudi. Shabbos. Even though he returns it to you in full, if nothing happens to it, fine. However,
I thought Shlomo Socha is chayav anyway. What do you mean he takes on?
He takes, yeah, for Yisrael. You're talking about Dinei Yisrael. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. V'ayin lemata. Okay, and then the Yesh Omrim says Ein Yud Yochel Lamach. Since he can't sell it, then it doesn't work. It's not cool. It's still called Behemoth Yisrael. So what do we do? So then the Ramah says Ayin lemata. So Ayin lemata, the Shnei Yesh Matirin HaKos, V'sham v'gam HaGor, B'soif HaSimen, Nuchach Tisfilei Kedas HaMatirin, V'ayin Mash Nichtuzeh. I.e., the Ramah seems to be going like the Yesh Matirin, that if the non-Jewish person takes on all these responsibilities, then you would be allowed to rent it to him on Shabbos and certain Yom Tov.